Greetings, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. I am a little bit late to be making this video, but that happens all the time. I am always late, as I'm sure you all know by now. But what I want to talk about happened a few weeks ago on TikTok, and it was like a whole thing. And even though it happened a few weeks ago, I'm still seeing it now. And that is some lesbian bar drama. Basically, a straight woman came onto TikTok and complained about an experience she had at a lesbian bar. A lot of queer women have already voiced their opinions on this. There have already been videos made. There's been countless TikToks made about it. But I wanted to also sit down and talk about it and share my thoughts and have this conversation with you all because that's what I do here. So yeah, before I get into that and tell you all about it and have this big dive, I would like to say thank you to today's patron of the day, Aaron. I appreciate you and your support so much. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope that you enjoy this video. And if anyone else would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. It starts at as little as £1 a month, and I appreciate it greatly. So basically what has happened is that a few weeks back, this straight woman was invited to a lesbian bar by her lesbian friend, and they went together. Then during the night, she invited her cishet man friend to come to the bar, and there was a negative reaction, and she came onto TikTok to complain about it. So I'll show you the TikTok and then we can get into it.
Friday night, I went to my first lesbian bar. I was about to go home early, but then my friend who's a lesbian came over to the bar at the restaurant we were at and said, I'm gonna go to this bar, do you wanna come? And I was like, absolutely, why not? We got there and I was having so much fun. Everyone was so nice. The music was all like Renee rap and I was living my best life. Until one of our guy friends wanted to meet up with us, and he comes into the bar for quite literally 2 minutes. Literally wanted to come in, say hello, and leave. Girl approaches him pretty soon after he walks in and goes, what are you doing here? To be honest, I was a little taken aback because as a straight woman in a gay bar, and also a straight woman who goes to a male gay bar, I've never felt like that before or been approached like that. The girl goes on to say, like, I've been coming to this bar for 10 years and blah, blah, blah. Basically, like, my friend didn't belong there. Now I get it. It's a gay bar for women. But the amount of very obviously flamboyantly gay men that were in that bar that were not being approached and yelled at was wild. And I'm just curious your thoughts on this, because I was like, I looked at her and I was nice until I wasn't. But the way she spoke to us, like, as a group, and I looked at her and I was like, he is with us, he's good. Like, she was not having it. She did not want him in that bar at all, and I get it. But, like, there's no rules against that. Unless there are, and I didn't see them. But we left soon after because we had already been there for a while, and he just literally came to say hello. But I'm just curious, like, are straight males not allowed to go to a lesbian bar? I am genuinely curious. Like I said, this was my first time going to a legit lesbian bar. So please, enlighten me. I guess, like, he's probably never going to go back there again because it really wasn't worth the drama. But I just feel it was a little dramatic.
The entitlement that, like, drips off of this video is astounding. Honestly, it's quite impressive, the level of entitlement that exists in this video. It's absolutely absurd to me that she doesn't understand, like, the problem here and is confused by the confrontation that happened and the upset that it caused. Because, like, even if we take sexuality out of the conversation, even if we removed that and we're just like, this is a woman's space, because, you know, she is a woman, so she should be able to understand that at least, right? You don't invite men into that space because it is a sanctuary away from men. That is not a space for men to be. Yeah? And especially cishet men. Like, she mentioned that there were some, like, flamboyant gay men that were there, and, like, why isn't that a problem? The reason that isn't so much of a problem is, one, if they were invited by, like, their sapphic friend, then they are allowed to be there, just as you, as a straight woman, are allowed to be there. They aren't going to be going and, like, hitting on women and making women uncomfortable. They are there with their sapphic friend because they are both queer. They are in a queer space together and respecting that they are a guest in that queer space. If they are gay men who are going into a lesbian bar unaccompanied, then no, they shouldn't be there. I will state that gay men going into a lesbian bar by themselves, that shouldn't happen. They shouldn't be there. Regardless, you brought a man, a cis het man, into a safe space for queer women, where queer women feel safe because we don't have very many spaces, you know? There are not many places where queer women feel welcome and accepted and safe. And so inviting a cis het man into one of those spaces is going to cause people to be a little bit on edge and a little bit uncomfortable because a lot of cis het men really like to go into these queer women spaces and take it upon themselves to hit on women and make women uncomfortable, and it really ruins the entire thing for everyone that it was created for. Like you say, I don't understand why she was upset. Like, there's not a rule that men can't be in there. Like, no, there isn't an official rule that men aren't allowed to go in, like straight men aren't allowed to go in. However, it's pretty heavily implied that cis het men aren't welcome in these spaces. Like, legally, you cannot deny them entry. But it seems like a pretty obvious conclusion to draw to not bring those people into these spaces. And to make it even worse, this lesbian bar is one of only 3 in the entirety of New York. And it has a capacity of 75. Only 75 people can go in there. And you took up one of those space with a cis het male friend to come say hi, which is bullshit. Because he had to wait in line to get in there. I know there was a fucking line to get in there. He had to wait in line to get in there. There's no way he just went in to say hi. That didn't happen. Don't lie. And I also would like to add in the part where she's like, I, as a straight woman, go to male gay bars all the time. Why isn't that a problem? Why am I allowed there when straight men aren't allowed into lesbian bars? I don't think straight women should be going to gay bars either. Like, just because you are more accepted there than like straight men are at lesbian bars doesn't mean you should be there. I don't think you should be going into those spaces either. Straight people, you have all of the bars. All of the bars are your bars. Can you leave ours alone to us, please? The amount of straight women that go into gay bars to feel safe away from straight men is quite astounding. There's quite a lot of them who do that and then will get like upset when they are hit on by queer women. And even if that's not you, even if you just go to a gay bar just to feel safer away from straight men, now straight men have like caught on to that and know that straight women go there to escape being hit on by straight men. So now gay bars are overrun by straight people who just are privileged enough to be able to take up all of the spaces. Please just leave us something. All of the bars, all of the clubs, they belong to you already. Why do you need to come and take our stuff off of us? You have all of them. And if you feel unsafe there and it's like not enjoyable, I'm really sorry. Like, that sucks, but that doesn't really give you the right to come into our safe spaces and make our safe spaces feel unsafe. I just really don't understand how, like, you as a woman have come into like this safe woman's space and felt the need to invite a man into it when you are already the guest in this space. Like, you have been invited here by your queer friend to come into this space with her, and then you took it upon yourself to invite someone else. Like, you can't do that. You as a guest cannot invite another guest. That's not how being a guest works. This is not your space to invite someone into. And then there's also the fact that in this video she has made, she was not telling the whole truth. And she manipulated some facts to go in her favor. And the girl who came and confronted them and asked why this man was in there has made a response video to this to explain what actually happened, which I will show you now.
What are you doing here? To be honest, I was a little taken aback because as a straight woman.
So that video is actually about me. I'm that lesbian, so I just wanted to provide some context on what happened from my perspective. So I was at Cubbyhole, been going to this bar for 8 years since I moved to New York. I actually met my wife there. I was waiting in the bathroom line, minding my own business, and there was a dude standing in front of the bathroom. I tapped him on his shoulder. I was like, excuse me, you know, you're kind of in the way, whatever. I was not trying to start conflict, anything like that. He turns around. He seemed a little bit grumpy. So I was like, okay, dude, are you even here with anyone? Like, what are you doing in this bar? And he points to his friend, a girl who seems pretty queer to me. Not the girl who made that other video. And she's like, he's with me. I'm like, okay, cool. I turn around, continue to wait in line, really had to pee. And then this guy comes to me and he goes, well, if I wasn't here with someone, would that be a problem? And I say, absolutely. Like, yes, it would be a problem. This guy, the girl in that video, some other girls, they all jump at me and they're like, what? Like, why would you say that? That's so messed up, blah, blah, blah. These people start coming at me. And I'm just in the bathroom. I'm there celebrating a friend's birthday. I want literally nothing to do with straight people, which is why I'm in Cubbyhole in the first place. And, you know, I'm just like, hey, okay, this is a queer bar. We don't have a lot of spaces. I've been coming to this bar for a long time. It's a special place for me. It's also a safe place for me. And I have seen a lot of cis straight guys come into this bar and cause problems. Like, it's a known thing. It happens at Cubbyhole. It happens at Henrietta's. It happens at Stonewall. There are straight dudes that come into these bars specifically because they're trying to pick up girls. So I wasn't trying to instigate anything. I was just trying to like, hey, safety check, you know? They got on my face. I just wanted to pee. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to the bathroom. I go in there and I just tried to de-escalate. I go back to my friend. There's more stuff that happens, but I'm just going to leave it at that. I do think that if you're going into a queer space, you should be respectful of that. And you should keep in mind that there are very limited spaces, especially for lesbians and queer women, where we can feel safe, where we can go. And there's literally the Lesbian Bar Project. If you've not heard about it, go look into it because there are so few spaces. And honestly, I'm not going to apologize for protecting them. Yeah, I just get heated, but that's pretty much it. I'm Katie and I'm that lesbian, and sorry, but actually not sorry.
So she didn't even really confront him. She just saw this man there and was like, hey, why are you here? Are you with someone? Did someone invite you? And then he responded aggressively. He responded with, oh, am I not allowed to be here without someone? Would that be a problem then? Like, yes. Like, yes, it would be, actually. Like, what are you doing here? Because of this, there were a few people who called her out, like, why did you assume he was a cis man? Like, how did you know he was a cis straight man in the first place? And I think that, like, that's a slightly, like, unreasonable question to ask, right? Like, I understand that trans men are allowed in, like, lesbian spaces and, like, queer women spaces because, you know, they also suffer from a lot of gender discrimination and might not feel safe in other spaces. And that's totally chill. I respect that. I understand that. But I still think that asking a man that you see in that space, like, why are you here, is completely valid. And I think that trans men who understand why women may feel afraid and uncomfortable with a man there would understand that and be sympathetic to that and not respond with aggression. So I feel like just responding with aggression kind of solidifies the fact that this is a cishet man. Like, the entitlement, the arrogance, and the aggression in that response really solidifies that this is not his space, but he feels like he deserves to be in it. You know what I mean? I am sure that if you approached a trans man and asked that, they would respond in a much gentler way. Either, you know, saying that they are trans because they're in a space where it is, like, safe to say that, or by just being like, hey, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm with those people over there, please don't mind me. It's not going to be an aggressive response. And I also imagine that a lot of trans men would feel like quite, you know, elated almost that they pass well enough to be mistaken for a cis man in a lesbian bar. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to respond with aggression. And I think that really answers the question, and think that that makes it unfair that people are being like, well, how did you know? Why did you assume? Like, she didn't. She just asked a man why he was there, and he responded aggressively. So it kind of answered the question for itself. And then I find it so funny, the contradiction here of like, the girl in the original video said that he was coming in to say hi and then leave, which we already knew was bullshit because he waited in line to get into this bar and steals a queer woman's spot in this very small bar. But anyway, she came out and saw him at a table chatting with these two women. So that doesn't really seem like coming and saying hi and then leaving. That seems like coming in for a drink and hanging out there for a time, continuing to take that space from a queer woman, and also probably making a lot of the queer women around feel a little bit uncomfortable, you know? Like, you've come into our space and feel like you deserve to be there. And then on top of that, this straight woman insults her and calls her a bitch purely for just asking why he was there. Which is a completely valid thing to say. It's a completely valid thing to ask. Regardless of whether a cishet man is invited in by a queer friend or not, doesn't really matter. I don't think he should be there, and I think that queer women shouldn't be inviting their cishet male friends into these spaces. I just don't think that that's a cool thing to do. It's just not on. And like she says, she's seen a lot of problems started and like caused because of this happening. Because yeah, you know, cishet men have a feeling of entitlement. They, a lot of the time, straight men in these spaces will go and try to hit on queer women because one, they know like bisexual, pansexual, etc. women exist, and two, they like to think they can like turn women. So they go and they make women uncomfortable. They don't leave women alone, and they start fights and they ruin this safe space for people. And there are a lot of queer women who no longer go to these places because they have been made to feel unsafe by people who shouldn't be there being in there. And it's just really, really sad. You know, it's meant to be a place for community and for safety. And then some people just feel like they are entitled to that space and take it away when they literally have all the other spaces. As a straight person, you can go literally anywhere. You can go anywhere. You can go to any bar, especially as a cishet man. You can go to any bar and feel safe. And yet, you stood in that line surrounded by queer non-cis men, right? You stood in that line around all those people and waited to get in, and you never once thought like, maybe this is a bad idea. Maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe these people behind me deserve to go into this bar more than I do. That didn't even cross his mind. He just was like, yeah, no, this seems right. I should go here. This makes sense. Like, how do you think that that's an appropriate thing to do? It's just wild to me. The lack of sort of like understanding and compassion, like the complete disregard for why these spaces are important. It's so funny to me because she, as a straight woman, felt entitled enough in this space to be able to invite her cishet male friend into this women-only space. And then kind of under the guise of like, he's my friend, so like, you know, he's not gonna hurt anyone or make anyone uncomfortable because he's my friend and I personally know him and know that he's a good person. When firstly, he went in and pretty much immediately started a fight with someone, so like not even true. And then you like took his side in that fight, so you also were, you know, not respecting the space you were in, not just by inviting a man into it, but by not understanding why someone was upset about it. Like, you were a guest in this space and you violated like every rule. Every rule. And the fact that you came onto TikTok and were like, I don't get it. Can you tell me why it's bad to bring a cishet man into a lesbian bar? Like, why do you need to ask why that's bad? Surely you know. Surely you can piece it together in your head why that might not be a good idea and why the people there were upset. And like, I'm sure more people would confront you about it if they weren't afraid of confrontation with a cishet man. You know? Like, I'm sure more people were looking at you. People probably were leaving. People just didn't feel comfortable now that you'd brought this person in there. And like, they just didn't tell you because it's not worth getting in a fight, which is obviously what would happen when someone asks. And it's so frustrating that these people can just like overlook any issue and not take any accountability. Like, she has received like thousands upon thousands of comments and like stitches and replies and everything, and she's not mentioned it once. Like, she's left the video up, but she has not made an apology. She has not made any follow-ups to this. Like, she in this video asked a question of, is this wrong? Tell me. Give me your input. I want to know. And then because it obviously didn't go in her favor, she's just ignored it. But she's kept the video up because I'm assuming she's on the creator fund and is probably getting money from this video that has over 1.5 million views, which is something else entirely. Honestly, I feel like that adds a whole new layer to the whole thing. Yeah, this video has been a bit of a mess. I had notes and then I just got kind of sidetracked and went all over the place. My brain is fried today. I am not in my best mental health right now, but I am trying my best. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this whole thing. I think that we should keep, you know, spaces for queer people to being for queer people, especially when it comes to gender minorities. I think that we need this space for trans men, non-binary people, and women. We need safe spaces, and we need straight people to stop taking them away from us. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. A massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Bobby, Josh, Mandy, Ikazel, Jessica, Eldo, Danielle, Raven, Elias, Chris, and Amelia. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for joining. If anyone else would like to be on Patreon, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, and then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, vlogs, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes, you replay